Hello, Americans. Serious. Like R. Kelly is in jail, regardless of what he did. If he did it or not. Because what he did, if he did it, there can be crimes against him with drugs. And and the prisons have rules with their criminals before they got caught to keep their mouth shut. They're using the drugs too. I caught the Sandy Hook has a prison in Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut, that has rules too with people tied to Duke University. Duke University has rules with sick drug things with the Leahy family that faked conversations with me. They have people from New Britain Superior Court involved with the Brian Silver, people with the name Kerr, also KNER, on Facebook with rape threats. Now there's a Brian Silver behind it, and he affected confessions to me, also with the Leahy family, affected confessions to me in Weathersfield. I don't even know where they live, but they're increasingly collusions with former mayors too from Weathersfield, involved with untimely deaths years apart. These are people also with wire and mail crimes with Hartford Hospital and digital crimes, changing and faking digital evidences. They have a Judge Killian with sexual and medical offenders of kids, and then trying to speak fake things in records. You need to get them on paper, one name in sequence with this Leahy family and Lombardo family. Affected confessions on my street since I was a kid. They have collusions with Central Connecticut State University in New Britain, Connecticut, and uh, Harvard Hospital with the same ones at Trinity College in Hartford too, and Central's in New Britain. And former director of the FBI, Robert Luskin, also has collusions with them. And make sure, because I never had a word of conversation with the Brenda Lee. Walked up, put a clipboard on a table. I already saw it too. He's got all kinds of collusions with former Detective Dylan and retired police chiefs. They're recording people tied to them, also confirming and demonstrating the corners of Elm Streets in Weathersfield and Rocky Hill and Route 3. Their conjunctions to Route 3 and conjunctions to that and to that, like the state judicial branch offices, and like where Hangdog Lane runs into Two Rod Highway, and the conjunctions there, like the Burlington Turnpike before the heart of Hartford and Route 3, has something to do with them increasingly with all kinds of natures of federal evidences, crimes, criminally pointed uses of corners of streets and of buildings, collusion slash S, and with their roles with all kinds of falsified police reports. While tactically delusions wrought too. I'm not even a doctor. I'll delineate their delusions from their criminally foreign influence, fact, nature, quality, aspects of nature once you get them on paper. Get me off of fake conversations with Channel 3 News. Channel 3 News, WFSB, have increasingly collusions with a bunch of people tied further involved with sexual medical offenders of kids and roles with the prisons and Sandy Hook Prison in Newtown, Connecticut, involved in intercities with the campuses. What are they doing with the corner of Elm Street and Rocky Hill and Weathersfield with this police chief in trial? You get them on paper and get me off the fake conversations with the Mendez police. I never had a conversation with in my life. The Weathersfield police fake conversations that ties to me as a kid and as an adult. Increasingly, I have people with that corner in Rocky Hill, with a corner of Elm Street and Route 3, that increasingly that were planting evidences intercities with the campuses. Increasingly, too, I never saw a Scalora on a campus I went to ever. There's a people with named Scalora involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders with some sexual medical offenders of kids, with intelligence families from Weathersfield and interstates and internationally. And they have roles in the World Trade Center attack with Saudis that Hartford Hospital also has something to do with their roles with Duke University people too, tied to these people named Brendan Leahy and women in their family too at the Hartford Hospital. They have their little kids on Facebook involved with predicate acts with them. Again, they have the Facebook page of the Britain Superior Court involved with the FBI too. The FBI has digital crimes in the Facebook page of the Britain Superior Court. Then they made a whole bunch of other Facebook pages after the rape threats with the KNERR name. There are people with the name KERR increasingly collusions with planting evidence on all sides of my house police forms. One's named Dylan, one's named Mendez, one's named Inspector Mike, refusing to identify himself with the fire departments. What are they doing with nuclear energy? And this Larry Martin better not pretend I knew him ever. And in other words, I never had a word of conversation at campus with him. He might have walked by me one time. I never had a word of conversation with him, Larry Martin, because people that involved planting fake things in databases. You guys too, people from Wethersfield, get them on paper, one name and sequence. Watch these sick. Watch what I caught them doing. They brought up a whole bunch of names too. And I can't get them on paper. There are more people involved with violence, and their roles with overt criminal enterprises and private ones intercities. They try to time where you're going to go. They put me in fake conversations with themselves through the mail to other people. I can't get them to respond for me. In it, they pretend that I said that people were chasing me. You have sick people that are speaking for mental health while they are criminally poor and influenced, tactically delusions wrong. They have collusions with Saudis too. Within the CBS recorded it after the World Trade Center, but it instantly recorded the same names and collusions with them. There are a bunch of intimate ties with a Claudia Scalora that is involved. They're involved with police chiefs, police from Wethersfield. They make a statement and run away. In other words, like little punk cowards. One guy forced himself through my door, said, "Leave a Scalora alone." I had nothing to do. I don't even know the Scaloras. They're sequence shifting, trying to put fake records. I didn't even respond to the guy. Then he left the house and gave me his card. I still can't get a response for who that was. Get them on paper and get them on paper. Don't pretend I spoke with him when he came and forced him on. In other words. Also, there's an officer Magnanos who's involved with a detective Samuda, with some people involved with rape confessions and requests for help about it years ago, or brought it up years ago with people involved with intercities with Central Connecticut State University since I was a kid. There are some intelligence families there who have increasingly been planting evidences, collusion /S, on the parallel street, on my street, messing with them, messing with us. In other words, they're leaving out their own names. You better get them on paper. I asked Judge Napolitano many times. You guys fake and change what people say. Get me off a fake conversation with CBS about the World Trade Center attack too. And 2 times they totally made things up to cover up what I caught them doing when I forced them to call the police without telling them why. They didn't even ask me why I was down there. I saw them too. They have a bunch of people with the Parks and Recreation bill involved too with this Leahy family. And Hartford Hospital with sexual medical offenders of kids too, with the houses and buildings next to them with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. They have people that all run in, they're forced patients and criminals. And the doctors are putting fake transcripts there, including at campuses filmed 24/7. There are proofs that they tried to fake ties to me. I never saw Eric Burgess on the campus of Central Connecticut State University in my life. I only know him as a stranger seeking me out to make confessions, demonstrating confirmations about a Dean Judd and his kid. Collusions with I found out with former director of the F.B.I, Robert Luskin, and the Britain Superior Court, Hartford Superior Court before the World Trade Center attack. They have collusions with people from my grammar school that I didn't even have classes with, and people intimately tied to them who were planting evidence on my street, tied increasingly to a former mayor of Gold, in conjunctions to them and his family member. And Whiting Forensics is increasingly involved with all kinds of wire crimes, digital crimes, and with sexual and medical offenders too, with the Sandy Hook, with that campus, and with the principal child abuser, the reportedly in prison for upskirt nature pictures. That prison had roles forcing him, and with the serial killer people they brought into it, and names next to it at the same time. They don't get on paper legitimately into branch. They better get Brian Silver out of the courts too, but they all need to be re-educated too. Eric, Rick C.M. Faglione sought me out to make confessions regarding a Brian Silver and a Leahy family and a John Maiano who sought me out. I didn't even know. I never saw. John Miano sought me out. I barely. He confirmed it because I only saw John Miano then. John Miano sought me out after my. I was supposed to. I was forced to stay back because they had the cover of the live progressions when we observed what was recorded because they hid a whole bunch of things I recorded. Wethersfield police have roles with all kinds of organized crimes and roles with home break-ins years apart, where they have roles with U/S of them too, and corners of the streets near me involved with it, increasing with state police. And people making confessions, but then they don't want to say things. You better get me a response too for these police forging names, switching names, and like with this Inspector Mike with the fire departments, get them onto paper. There people come, they're still refusing to identify them legitimately. Then you're going to start leaking about the Russian. I'm holding back for you guys. I only need the ones who made that woman make the confession about herself being Russian. And even it wasn't just her, because there's a Tom Peruta who's increasingly involved with people from my sixth grade class with confessions tied to former Mayor Gold. And WTNH has roles with the principal upskirt nature with them, and her roles with more people with the campuses. One of the teachers confessed when she was a kid that there's a Lance Cuddy involved. These are also people with a Ray Colon, a Joe DeMoro with the state corrections offices, and Joe DeMoro next to the state judicial branch offices reported confessed demonstrated collusions with the people there. Other people too recorded with body dumping spots brought up at the same time, years apart. Increasingly of serial killer involved with Sandy Hook, Newtown, Connecticut. Also had collusions with the people involved with them next to his reported serial killer spot. As ones involved with the principal child abuser before he was there. As people involved with the from Puerto Rico, nothing against Puerto Rico. People of a Cintron family is associated with a police chief Cintron. And it has something to do with a bunch of people with the corp since years before his reported family through the relative through a marriage to his daughter. Has a Mazzucato bakery at the corner of Rocky Hill, of Elm Street and Rocky Hill in Wethersfield. Is increasingly involved in people identity theft, fraud, slanders. I don't know them at all. I Joe DeMoro in a red clothes. They apparently took a picture of me, make it look like I know that girl. That Ray Close reportedly he confirmed. Even if he made it up, he confirmed that he had sued someone trying to make it look like I was tied to her in the case. These are people on all sides of criminal and civil cases. The interbranch, they put the same sequence shifts at the same time. Then they have to hide that at other locations. Same federal evidence as crimes, identity theft, fraud, slander. That's why you guys can't even get black people's whites of eyes correctly. It's inseparable from any telling of American history properly, let alone because, too, the breaching method reassigned that. And nature shows us that. But James Madison also declassified about this. That, too, in other words, on paper.